Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and one thing that has been heard throughout the community a lot is the desire for either or a more modernized version of Total War. So obviously, you know, World War One, that type of timeline, or Total War Warhammer 40K, something that I'm more interested in because, well, you know, I'm a Warhammer channel. But generally the conversation goes like this: it's not going to work, you know? Some people will post about the idea and some people will say it's not going to work because the Total War format can't actually deal with that. Well, a modder has been kind of doing something with Warhammer 3, which, kind of proves that it's very much possible, at least in the battle sense, and you can see that here. It's a mod that we've spoken about in the past. This is Total War Millennium, Modern Warfare, but gets updated regularly with new content, loads of content actually, and it's very, very impressive. So, when you see this, you can see tanks, you can see, troopers, you can see artillery pieces, you can see flyers now. That's part of the new update. And these models look absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a really, really cool amount of work. But again, you can see that this is all basically range combat. What's really funny is there's a lot of range still when it comes to Napoleon or Empire. Yet people seem to think that range-heavy stuff just doesn't exist. And we have that even in Warhammer too. You have a lot of technically high-tech weaponry when it comes to, for example, the Skaven with snipers and, you know, rattling guns. It's just like a Warhammer version of actual real weaponry anyway. But every time this mod gets an update and I keep checking it out, it makes me think, God, I can't wait for an eventual Total War Warhammer 40K. And I know a lot of people want a World War 1 game, but I'm not too keen myself on a more modern timeline type of World War 1 game, mostly because, let's be honest, the closer we get to more of our real world, the more of the cringe comes out from the fanbase. But I see these troops and I basically see the format that could be used for Cadians, for Kriegers, right? This is super, super cool. Like, we're looking at the infantry right now, and they're just really freaking detailed. Absolutely love this. Obviously, some animations aren't so great and so on, but that's, the rigging that the units are available. There's only so much that you can do with a new model when you're actually just using mod tools and not the proper developer tools. So the amount of work and detail that's come into here is extremely impressive. You can see this is pretty much just mostly infantry, just frontline gunners, stuff that you'd expect in a Cadian army, a guardsman army. And don't you worry, as this video progresses, I'm going to be showing off the vehicles, I'm going to be showing off the flyers, because it's just absolutely amazing. And the more I see it, again, it's just something that it's only a matter of time. I really feel like the next big historical is going to have to be something like Empire 2, which is going to be mostly range, or, something like World War 1. It just makes a lot of sense because they've done Shogun, twice. They've done, well, technically 3 times because of Fall of the Samurai being a standalone. So hitting something completely different might reach a new audience, which will still be in a historical sense. Obviously, World War I is still part of history, but it brings in more consumers, essentially, right? And that's what every company wants. So it just makes logical sense for me. But for me, I really want a Total War 40K, as I feel like that would probably be the biggest Total War game of all time. Nothing would even come close to that. The amount of cash that they'd be able to make with 40K is absolutely massive, because they'd have, obviously, one of the biggest IPs in the world, right? Something that's very well known as getting more into popular mainstream each and every day. Obviously, loads of big stars are talking about 40K lately, which is nice but bizarre at the same time, because you never thought that your niche hobby that you were playing since you were 4 years old is going to become a mainstream thing, alright? Cavalry is something that we still saw in World War I and also seen in 40K, because even with how modern 40K is, you still get, really cool cav like the Rough Riders, which, funnily enough, just recently got a model update for 40K, which was absolutely amazing. But yeah, same kind of format. You've got gunners or you've got lancers and stuff. And yeah, every time I see this, I see like Kriegers, and yeah, it just really gives me that feeling. So I keep looking at it in the potential future, because if it's possible to already have these types of units in the Total War engine, it's definitely possible to refine them officially and have them done, like, you know, properly done by a team of developers, all that type of stuff. And like I've said, a lot of this stuff, we've already kind of got the baseline mechanics. Well, we do have the baseline mechanics when it comes to, like, infantry, cavalry, even some artillery, because that stuff, you know, cannons, the Hell Rocket Blasters, anything really has that feel, and you just kind of see it there. Like, again, it just gives you that real big Krieger look, which for me is just freaking cool, just how everything fires. There's something really special, some certain mechanics there just to kind of change it up, or when you have to pack up equipment to move it around. You've got like carts and stuff, which I think is really, really, really cool. And the system implemented by the mod is actually quite cool, where the smaller tanks come in small units, you know, groups of 3 and so on, and the bigger tanks, you know, the stronger tanks come as single entities. It's kind of how you kind of imagine it for Total War in a modern or even 40k setting, which is why you can see why I look towards this mod and I keep thinking about the possible future, because it's just super cool, man. It is honestly super cool. And again, further reinforcement with the newest update. You see, the newest update to this mod brought in flyers, which a lot of people have been curious about, because obviously when it comes to flyers, we either dealt with balloons, which, you know, kind of slow moving, or, you know, big monsters, dragons, manticores, all that type of stuff. Whereas here, you know, these are helicopters. This is a plane with the Red Baron, which, you know, legendary hero, actually really, really cool. Zeppelins too. I'm saying cool a lot because it's pretty cool. But yeah, look at it. This is proper warfare style stuff. You know, this is what we expect from actual, you know, World War I stuff, or again, 40k, because flyers are prevalent in both types of settings. But the level of detail, as you can see, is just amazing, right? Like, I really, really like it. The fact that everything kind of moves smoothly. The Zeppelins do have clipping issues and so on, but they're just gigantic units, and obviously you have to take into account that these things are modded, so it's a bit difficult to make them a bit more solid. And hell, let's be very honest here, a lot of normal officially added stuff does have clipping issues. Actually, I haven't checked in a while, but I think that the Minotaur for the Beastmen, his neck still isn't actually attached to the body. Yeah, the model is actually kind of broken. So when it comes to the case of battles, I'm going to talk about two different situations, as we're kind of both hoping for different games, two different games. So this would be the 40k system, which we'd have an army of Kriegers here, and I'm using the Kriegers as a reference because I used to play Deathcore Krieg back in the day when I was a bit more active with 40k tabletop stuff. I mostly just play Warhammer Fantasy nowadays. I don't have a lot of time for multiple settings. But yeah, versus Demons of Chaos. And yeah, obviously you have to take into account here that balance is a weird thing. Balance is definitely a weird thing. And that's mostly because it's a mod, right? And it's not officially balanced. And generally, balancing is odd when it comes to modded stuff and just Total War in general. But yeah, Demons of Chaos versus Imperial Guardsmen, or Astra Militarum as they're called now. Something which is a normal matchup. With the balancing off, you can still see more or less the format, right? Firing gun lines, stuff like that. I should actually be charging in because that's what Kriegers do. They're more suicidal. But yeah, the idea is just to showcase that, yeah, the battle is doable. The battle is something that you could have a lot of fun with. Again, the balancing is very odd, and obviously my army is quite overtuned, so I'm slaughtering them on the way in. But you can see that it is entirely possible. It's something that really I could see being done in the future in an official standpoint, and it would be really, really cool if this happened. Not anytime soon, mind you. I'd say like 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, because I feel like a Total War 40k would need a lot of work, because while the battles are simple enough, and we've got another perspective coming up soon, it's the campaign map in general. There's a lot of red tape with Games Workshop, I imagine, just the usual stuff. But I can imagine one, realistically, 4 years down the line. 4 years down the line, after a bunch of DLC for Warhammer 3, that will give the main team a lot of time to develop it as the newest, you know, fantasy game, even though it's sci-fi. But it would be done by the fantasy team, as, well, they're not going to make a sci-fi team just for one game unless they plan to do Star Wars and stuff afterwards, you know? Balance aside, I was looking at this and this was really, really fun for me, as I never really had a lot of luck when it came to my Krieg army on the tabletop, so seeing actually being able to kill stuff here, you know, it's It's a feeling that I'll never actually have on the tabletop. We also have to take into account that the relationship between Creative Assembly and Games Workshop is clearly there, and it's clearly good, so they might want to explore other types of games that they can make together, because cash cow for both of them. Now, when we look at it from a historical point of view, so this is more World War I-y type of stuff. Like, I'm doing battle, same army composition. So I've got my same army composition, and the AI has the exact same army composition. Things do not really go too well for me, but you can see that they kind of know what to do. The AI can deal with what stats are there, because obviously the distinction of the unit is already there, and they work quite well. Yeah, they do quite a lot of damage. So yeah, it's clear that the AI is smart enough to recognize what does what damage does what, and will actually use the unit as it is, even with these radically different types of units that come into effect here with, you know, a World War I, World War II aesthetic and, you know, mechanic style. And yeah, I really like the idea that this works really well. It shows that it is entirely possible, even from a basic mod type of view, right? Not from an official sense, again, with developer tools. I feel like this is probably the best way to go forward for Creative Assembly in future, to branch out to obviously other settings, but also other historical settings which bring in a more modernized feel, as yeah, you would get a lot of new players coming in. It definitely make money, and it could easily make them control a lot more of the historical gaming format, right? Grand strategy with World War I would be something that people have been calling for a long time now. Yeah, we have the World War II setting with like Hoi 4, right? Hearts of Iron, but you're not really controlling an army, right? And a lot of people want to control the army themselves. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll leave the mod linked in the description below too if you want to try it out and just see the feel of it. And let me know, yeah, let's start a bit of a discussion. I'm rather curious to see what you guys think, but the more I see this mod getting updated, the more I really feel like this is a real big possibility in the future. Hopefully when Creative Assembly has sorted out their releasing games in a broken state situation, because we all want a good game, right? If a Total War Warhammer 40K releases in the state that Warhammer 3 did, that could be completely damning to like everyone. But yeah, have a nice day, guys. Sorry for the no videos. It's been stressy lately, and yeah.